Hello, this is Shimantini, and I teach English at Ziel classes. Today I will be teaching the poem The Owl by Edward Thomas. The owl is about a weary passenger um, coming downhill, and he's starved, he's hungry, he's extremely cold, and he seeks a shelter. While enjoying the food, the comfort of the shelter, he reminds the readers of the people who are exposed to the cold and who are not being able to get any shelter, who are deprived, extremely deprived of the basic necessities of life. So the first stanza is where the poet, the person, the narrator comes downhill and he's extremely hungry, he's extremely starved, uh, he needs heat, he needs a place to rest. Downhill I came, hungry and yet not starved. So downhill I came, he's coming downhill and he's hungry, but he's not starved. He's not hungry to the point that he's starved, but he's extremely hungry. Cold yet had heat within me that was proof against the north wind. So he was extremely cold as well. But he had that zeal within him that was the proof against the north wind, which helped him to go against the north wind, to continue his journey against the north wind. Tired, yet so that rest had seemed the sweetest thing under a roof. He was hungry, he was cold, but what he needed the most was rest. He was tired. The rest seemed the sweetest thing under a roof to him. Then at the inn, I had food, fire, and rest. So he had all these necessities that he required. He had all of them. He had food, he had fire, he had rest. Knowing how hungry, cold, and tired I was. So he was hungry, cold, and tired. Therefore, at the inn, he had food, he had fire, he had rest. All of the night was quite barred out except an owl's cry, a most melancholy cry. So most of the night, the cold night was barred out because it was outside the out. So he makes a distinction between the outside world and the inside world of the inn. The inside world was cozy. It had the basic necessities, food, rest, fire. It was warm, and the outside world, which was distinguished by the wall of the inn, right, was cold. And most of it he had escaped, that most of it he has barred, except the owl's cry that he can listen to, the most melancholy cry. Shaken out long and clear upon the hill, no merry note, nor cause of merriment, but one telling me plain what I escaped, and others could not, that night, as in I went. So he was the cry was extremely shaken out long, and it was clear from the hills, it was clear. It was not a merry note, and there was no cause of merriment. Why? Because there are thousands of other people who are not getting what the poet has poet is getting. The poet is privileged to get all of these things, all of these amenities, but there are a lot of people who are out in the cold. And the owl's cry is a symbol of those people, symbolizes those the the tragedy of those people who are not being able to take any shelter during this cold and harsh weather. So he says, the poet says that, but one telling me plain what I escaped, and others could not that night, as in I went. So that I escaped it, I escaped the cold, I escaped the harsh weather, but others could not that night, as in I went to the inn, the others I left behind.